Texan QB who sent nasty message to America will now be forced to take a knee the rest of his life. Ever since football season began, we've seen protests within the NFL take a nasty racist turn. No longer are athletes satisfied with silently kneeling while the national anthem plays, as many black players are now rendering black power salutes anytime they sack a white player on the field. Then things took a startling turn for the worst at the beginning of the season, after White Raiders quarterback Derek Carr had his back broken during a tackle, where some sports commentators are speculating that Carr's all-black offensive line refused to block for him as a savage punishment for Carr for choosing to stand for the national anthem while they all sat before the game. Even in light of the racist overtones of these so-called protests, the NFL has chosen to take the side of the players and alienate their fans, resulting in startling low viewership that could cost the league billions just this season. Texans owner Bob McNair was very displeased with the ongoing protests, and in a recent meeting, according to ESPN The Magazine, said that it's time for these kneeling players to stop calling the shots. During a discussion about players negotiating over their rights to protests, he stated, "We can't have the inmates running the prison." Texans owner Bob McNair predictably, the whiny players on the Houston Texans team weren't too happy with being called felons, and in an act of defiance, the majority of the team took a knee before their game against the Seattle Seahawks, including black quarterback Deshaun Watson. But shortly after all the black players knelt, karma would come calling, completely destroying any chance the Texans team had at having a successful season. NFL.com reported that one of the most remarkable starts to an NFL career has been cruelly cut short, after Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson tore his right ACL in practice Thursday. Via NFL.com, the injury ends Watson's memorable rookie season after just 6 starts. An MRI on the knee confirmed the full extent of the injury, which he suffered on a non-contact play, per Rappaport. Watson, who tore his left ACL during his freshman year at Clemson, is facing an 8 to 9 month rehabilitation and should be back in time for the start of the 2018 season. Texans coach Bill O'Brien did not talk about any issues regarding Watson's knee during his Thursday news conference. The team only listed Watson as limited after the practice session. "Looks like Watson will be taking a knee for quite some time, just not in the way that he had perhaps anticipated." As far as the Texans owner's remarks about the NFL being full of felons, he's dead on. These players frequently play the moral superiority card to justify their protests, as they love to tout themselves as the woke Americans who are merely using their prominence in society to stand up for the injustices taking place in our country by racist whites who are always looking for ways to hold them down. But if these players were in fact social justice warriors who are simply protesting in order to take a stand for oppressed blacks, they have quite a bit of explaining to do after an extensive record of their own brutality and injustices against their fellow Americans just accidentally got out. For anyone who's worked in an office, you're probably familiar with the little sign some businesses have up that lists the days since an accident. But if the NFL had such a sign in their locker rooms listing the last time a player was arrested for a criminal act, the sign would need to be updated constantly, as the current NFL average is about 1 week between an NFL player getting arrested for criminal misconduct. NFLoris.com, a website that provides an interactive visualized database of National Football League player arrests and charges, reveals that the average time between arrests is just 7 days, while the record without an arrest is slightly more than 2 months, at 65 days. There's a variety of reasons that players get arrested, but the most common crimes are drunk driving, drug offenses, domestic violence, assault and battery, gun violations, disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, theft, burglary, rape and even murder. Here's a colorful little chart where you can see the breakdown of current crimes that have been committed by NFL players over the years, proving these idiots have no real goal for making America a better place or for standing up for oppressed blacks as they would love for everyone to believe. What's even more hypocritical of these protesting athletes pretending to give a crap about the oppression of others is their personal records of abusing women, which is a rampant issue throughout the NFL. Not only does the NFL refuse to kick domestic abusers out of the league, they go on to embrace these domestic abusers with special gifts. Before NFL players want to lecture Americans about being racists and holding down the black man, they need to pull out a mirror and start taking long looks at their own reflection. Looks like they've managed to amass quite the extensive rap sheet of brutalizing and committing injustices toward their own fellow Americans, proving what giant hypocrites these protesting athletes truly are.